Where are you from? I'm from Ham-Nor. It's in the Eastern Townships, Ham-Nor. My case was sclerosis, and I'm still a bit stiff. It started in 1983. I went for exams at the CHU in Sherbrooke Hospital. I had difficulty working, but I had a lot of trouble in my work. I was a farmer, and I had a sugar shack, and I had a lot of trouble walking around in the forest, in the woods, to pick up my maple water. So I went to the hospital in Sherbrooke, and the results of these exams, as the specialist told me, he said, you have inflammation in the back, in the bone marrow. But I was afraid of cancer, and I asked him, do I have cancer? He said, no, you don't have cancer. I'm sure you don't have cancer. But considering that you're still young, we are now in 1990, that was in 1983. And he said, since you are rather young, if you avoid stress and you are careful, you might improve. So with that multiple sclerosis, that's what they had diagnosed, yes. So they sent me home, and considering that I had no cancer, I continued working. But in 1986, I couldn't work anymore. So I had my files taken out by my doctor, and he said I had multiple sclerosis. But I was kind of suspecting that that was my problem. I knew some people in my parish who had the same problem. So I was surprised and not so surprised after all. And there are many activities that I was doing I had to moderate. So I started to go to chiropractors, I went to acupuncture, I went to see all kinds of people who were supposed to be able to help me, because the doctors told me they couldn't help me. And last fall, in November, I bought my Roumot system on the 3rd of November 1989. I started my treatment with the machine, and as Dr. Gagnon said yesterday, before buying it, I had seen all kinds of possibilities, and I tried it for a month without too much result. But when I got this machine at home, I was using it regularly, and I put a lot of power, too much power. A cup of coffee is okay, but a pot of coffee is too much. So after that, the first week was going up, it was going very well. I used to go to my sugar shack, and I worked in the woods, but it lasted only for a week. The week after, I couldn't do it anymore. So I called Dr. Gagnon, and I said, hey, things are not going. He said, for the coming week, stop everything, because you boosted it too much. So I stopped my treatment, and after a week I started again, and now it's going well. I'm walking better. I don't have any pain in my legs. I had the impression that my feet were very thick, but I don't feel like this anymore, and my back pain is gone also. And I'm very pleased with the improvement due to this machine. There is another case that I have at heart. After getting my machine, a good friend of mine who is here now, Mr. Raymond Plante, he is here. He had cancer. Monsieur Plante, could you stand up? Raymond, come up here. It is a case that I wanted to tell you about. 4 or 5 days after getting my machine, I learned that Raymond was coming out of hospital, and I met him. He was at the doctor, and he was taking cortisones. And I went to see him at home, and I started talking to him about this machine. And he said, no, you're not going to touch my back. And one of his brothers was in Sherbrooke. and he was following treatment for arthritis. And I said, Raymond, come to Sherbrooke. I have a miraculous machine. I'm going to treat you with this, and you'll see the benefits. So Raymond looked at the brochures, and he said, yes, I think Benoit Duchesne has a machine like this. So the morning after, Raymond was at my home, and he had a hard time walking. He came with his son, and he was almost carried in. And I said, Raymond, I'm going to go to your home tomorrow with the machine. So I went to his home during 20 days in a row. And the first day, Raymond couldn't even stand up. His spouse was taking care of him. He was in his bed, and she was discouraged. But Raymond trusted this machine, and he said, I'm sure we're going to do something with this. After 12 days of treatment, when I used to go at his home every morning, after 12 or 13 days, I had a lot of amplitude and continued current, 1 hour of treatment. And it took a lot. My supervisor told me that it took him, he needed a lot, so I gave him a lot. And after 12 days of treatment, he started sitting. In the morning, I was looking, and he was sitting in his bed, and he was laughing. He said, well, it's going better. And the morning after, I came, and he was a little bit better yet. And after 15 days, Raymond was starting to walk around the table with his cane. And the 20th day, he was coming to my home to take his treatments. And then he had a tumor. And there was a cancer in the tumor. And he had a lump under the arm. And this was on the 10th of November. And the 30th of November, he went to the hospital for a control exam, and the doctor in Sherbrooke was looking for his lump. And he said, no, it was on this side. No, on the other side. And he couldn't find the lump. I don't say that he is cured. He had just received a scanner this week. He didn't get the result yet, but it seems that it's very positive. Thank you very much.